Hi, everyone. Welcome to the August 28th instance of SIG documentation. Today, we don't have any agenda items, so we'll just see what conversation topics come up, but it might be a short one. Um, I think one thing we can announce, again, we've probably announced this already a couple times, is that WASI.dev is updated to include earlier proposals. So Eric did that work. So it's a good resource to see what is in progress and also to put an issue up if something's in progress that we haven't seen and make sure that gets into WASI.dev. On that note, that might be something we want to post in general, unless we've already done that, is to tell people if they're working on proposals to remember to put them up in WASI.dev.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything that we need to think about with regards to Bacon coming on, BA uh, and documentation that we think or stuff, questions we want to have going into that event in a month or so?
Yeah, I mean there's a few people that all want to pick their brains about, but I do think that yeah, maybe like some kind of how it's determined whether like things make it into the OCI registry or not. Um and like who has the ability to do put things there. I think is probably something that I would like to love to like, and yeah, it doesn't need to get solved then, but if it it'd be wonderful to walk away understanding that.
And that seems like kind of an overlap between the registry SIG and this SIG because one, we need to decide what the answer to that, and the other is we need to make sure that's clearly defined and documented.
Yeah, there's like a number of things there. Actually, Bailey, you might be like a really good person to pick their brains. But I mean, yeah, I think there's like a number of questions there. There's like what also the not to be pedantic, but I think technically the registry SIG got changed to the packaging SIG. But yeah, I think that this is something that I've like brought up in a few places a few times, and I think there's just going to be like some time and stuff before it like shakes out, and a lot of stuff still needs to happen in the WASM package tools repo. But yeah,
We're talking about whackage and documenting it.
not
Sorry, I'm
quite.
late.
Yeah, more about like if there's any like formalization around how things make it into the current like BA registry and like who can publish to it and like that kind of stuff. Um yeah.
Yeah. Um, right now, I would say that everybody should only be able to publish to their projects namespace. So it'd be like Bytecode Alliance slash Whackage, let's say, if Whackage wanted to create a Docker version of their thing or a componentized version of Whackage, which would be sick. Um, I think uh, I want the WASI specifications, like the definition of those, of course, is the WIT document itself, but I also want that housed in the WebAssembly org. So that was something that I had to shake out a little with folks.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I want the WASI stuff to be not Bytecode Alliance.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think, yeah, talking to various people, and yeah, I've heard like a few things. Yeah, so I know, and I think that there's probably this like weird, like if you're talking about stuff that is like under a BA namespace or like a WASI namespace, like probably like some subgroup, if not all, like contributors maybe have that privilege with like an understanding that like, hey, the point of this is not to just like house arbitrary like junk WASMs that you're like testing stuff with. But yeah, like figuring out how to communicate like who should be allowed to do what would you know, I don't know how that like gets settled, and part of it is just like time and practice, but yeah.
Yeah, well, and having the first one, I think is the other thing. You know, you always solve the problem once it presents itself, and I think that's where we're at right now. Is I don't think we have anybody that's produced like, you know, something that would be a Bytecode Alliance official component or WIT spec. That's not, you know,
I wonder if it maybe some of the stuff in WASM tools could just be good like stuff like being able to print components or print the width of a component like just some of the WASM tools like command line functionality could potentially be componentized and like viewed as like a hey who determines how this happens but yeah.
you're totally right, because I actually remember the playground outside contributor added a Wasm Tools playground there. So I think somebody has started potentially componentizing some things. So we might even have like a little bit of progress made on that. I think that would be a great first target. And I would want it to be Bytecode Alliance slash Wasm Tools slash thingamabob.
Yeah. Maybe it makes sense to talk to Alex about that or something. But yeah, and I guess I would probably figure he would be the person who either manually version bumped it or configured the CI/CD to version bump when things happen. But
He's definitely the CI wizard for that project. I would probably start with a GitHub issue, hashing that out, making sure we added the person that had already started doing some of that for the playground in case they wanted to keep doing cool stuff.
yeah, I haven't heard about the playground. I guess that's like an already existing issue in the Wasm Tools repo.
Not an issue. It was added to the README somewhere. And I'm calling it playground. It might be like test or some, you know, some other name for that.
Okay.
But I don't see it anymore. We
I see that there's like a column called playground in like there's the tools included section in the README.
There it is. Yes. Yeah. Here's an example. I don't remember how it works like under the hood. But one would think that a web app would be using the WebAssembly side of things and the Jco side of things.
Yeah, cool.
And as far as I understand, yeah, this person just showed up out of nowhere one day and was like, here's the playground. Check it out. And here's a couple converted.
A simple online playground. Okay. Hmm.
And yeah, it's just using GitHub pages to host it.
Cool. I see. Interesting. I'll have to check it out a little bit more.
I think the playground actually kind of brings up another topic with regards to documentation if we feel okay with switching topics, Annie, away from okay. I think one thing that I was talking to, I think it was Dan at the last Bacon event, was where we could have kind of a resource drop. And the playground's a good example. So someone coming into the Bytecode Alliance community, or you could say the component community, and isn't sure everything that's out there, um, should something like that be documented by us, or is that something we can let the community kind of evangelize and find?
Yeah, it looks like it's very limited right now, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't just start pointing people that way. And I do think posting it inside the component model book is a good place to highlight it. Because it looks like it just has print and parse right now. But hey, Watt syntax highlighting, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and maybe it's something where so another example is WASM Builder we point to that in the book as an example. So we can just also point to this in context. But I was also thinking we could have a page that's just kind of a summary of all the tooling, including low-level tooling, not just like nice user interfacey tooling, and stuff that we haven't even documented yet, maybe. So stuff like, and I don't even know if this counts because it's more of a functionality or a feature, but like WRPC, like did we reference people to that while we still haven't documented it? Or some of the like we still, I don't know, Danny, have we merged the WAC documentation? I think we're still working on that. Um, so I guess maybe these are things we should just probably add documentation for, but
I think
thinking of some.
there's like, yeah, there's been Taylor's done like a great job in the WASM package tools repo with like trying to get things to be like protocol agnostic. I think that there's been like a lot of people in the that attend the packaging SIG are like have a lot going on right now. And so I feel like probably the bottleneck is like reviewing his work mostly. I know that Brooks like recently was like playing around with whackage lock or whitlock kinds of things. And I think that like, but it looks like he was doing that in like WASM cloud stuff. And I think that like there's basically the wit COI, which is in cargo component. And I think that like a number of people for a while have like felt consensus that that should be in WASM package tools. But right now it is still only like warg aware. So it would need to be made OCI aware. And the other thing about it is like it would probably just need to like be substantially refactored in the process because a few things, but I think that and this is like something that like it's not been like fully landed on and probably won't until somebody actually decides to own porting it, which like I would love to have the capacity to do it, and I think like I could do it and like and stuff. It's a matter of like balancing that with other things that are going on a bit right now. So maybe, but like I would love to play a role in it. But like essentially, there's been thought about like say that you are like referencing a bunch of different wits like in your wit from like different wit packages that have been published to a registry like separately, and you need to do like some version resolution like on it to produce like said wit lock or whackage lock. Should that be in a toml or should it be just deduced from the versions that appear in the wit content itself? And I think that it's the most advocation there's been. It seems like it should be deduced from the wit, and and this way you can have language specific concepts of a toml or a package file refer to specific components that are dependencies, and whereas like wit package versions would be determined from what appears in wit content itself. So that's not how it works today. So that would need to be like changed as it got ported.
So Taylor's been on vacation.
Yep.
But I know that he had a number of items to finish in that space. Like he was wrapping up some stuff in the cargo component to do essentially the same end-to-end demo that James did last night. And Eric, I'm guessing you mentioned that you were going to work on a blog post introducing componentize.net on the BA blog.
Not yet, but I would work on a blog post introducing components.
Thanks. Yeah, I interviewed James last night for the componentize.net that he's been owning and releasing. And then he showed an end-to-end demo, the same one that he did in the CNCF working group last week, where he was able to download a WIT package from OCI from GHCR using componentize.net, generate bindings in C#, build code, compile a component, take that component, push it back to GHCR with whackage. So effectively that flow should be documented in the component model book, I think. And then also, and I highlighted on the stream that there is no C# page yet in the component model book. So that's another good thing to do. And then, and actually the new contributor, thank you, Kate, for being a wonderful maintainer, Raj, I don't know. his name's Mal. He made a change to add C and C++, which I know he's working on, but he also reacted pretty strongly to adding more pages to the component model book on the stream last night. So he might take that too. So I think we should put that as a good first issue, because the content's actually written. Fun fact, James did all the work and used the calculator demo actually in his example in componentize.net. So like, I think it should be pretty straightforward to take that and put it in our component model book. I digress. All I was saying is, you know, we need to introduce that as a project, and then we need to introduce that flow for cargo component. That work's not done, so I think that'll happen in like a week or two, that we'll have like a completed story there. And then, yeah, if somebody's sick, they could go do that for Jacob afterwards.
Was James's demo with the C# then? Just clarifying. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, okay. I will go watch that too. Very curious. Cool. Yeah, I will be looking on the lookout to see if Mal's interested in that, but I can go look up his demo and make an issue for that and a separate one for adding C#. So sounds great.
But with respect to something you mentioned earlier, Kate, I think that kind of like getting WASM package tools to do all the things that it should. Like I feel like we probably need like this like protocol agnostic, as in like works with OCI and Warg and has the concept of like a Whitlock to like all of that to be sorted in WASM package tools, and that's the point at which WAC could have switch. Because currently I think WAC still has its direct dependency on Warg rather than WASM package tools, and probably nobody's like going to feel motivated to get it to depend on WASM package tools / WACage until it actually does all the things that we've said it should do. So, and that's probably weeks, if not then yeah, it just depends on when people have the availability to like actually focus on it. I don't know if I also mentioned Calvin and I got a customer, so like we've been busy with like helping them, which has been cool. Yeah. But then also I have been talking to Luke recently about opening something in like the WIT spec for actually having unlocked depths in WIT, which should make use of the recent changes to how like multiple packages in a WIT file work, as well as some of the like POC nested interface stuff that I've like worked a little bit with Alex on. And I'm hoping that like having this actual like spec for how unlocked depths will be represented in WIT like should, I think a lot of people get confused when they hear about unlocked depths. So I'm hoping that this should like make it not confusing, while also not being like a dumping ground for people talking about how all of Semver should be handled. But so I don't know, we'll see how it goes when I open the issue, but I'm hoping to do that this week. So
Well, yeah, and you guys meet for SIG packaging later today. Yeah, so I think there's some more coordination. Yeah, and I put in that issue for cargo component moving or WIT moving out, the WIT crate moving out too. So whenever traction happens there, just poke something in there. I think Taylor also has big ideas for that refactor. If you guys know that like Beaver meme, like I have big ideas for this, and then the project manager, aka me, is like, please tell me it's not another refactor. But yeah, I'll tell him that you're interested as well, so you guys can coordinate that.
yeah, we've definitely talked about it, and yeah, I think he knows. Yeah, I've kind of just between this like customer stuff and the nested interfaces and the unlocked depths, I've been like, you're doing what I want, and I wish that I could be more involved in it, but I've like will make it so that eventually I can make time thinking about it and it makes sense. Like I would be doing what you're doing if I wasn't doing what I'm doing. So yeah.
Um, uh, does this group review changes to WASI.dev?
Yes.
I think we should just merge this one.
Yeah.
Yep, seems straightforward. Shall I just push merge?
Yeah, have you seen the new Hummer commercial? Push the button. You should do it.
I guess to clarify, who has merge privileges? Eric, do you have merge privileges?
I do have merge
Okay.
privilege.
So Eric is the person who has the merge privileges. I don't personally, but that's good to know who does, because then we can all like take on maintaining roles of it and then just bug Eric if we want to merge.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Speaking of privileges, would it be possible to get settings privileges or talk to someone who has them on there? Because I'm trying to set up the GitHub Actions, and I think I've gotten most of the way, but there's something about branch protections that needs to be changed. Do we know?
Yeah, let me share my screen and I'll just we'll just do it right now. Is that okay? Is it sorry, Kate, is it okay if we do that? All right. So this is who's currently in here. And Eric, you have right. But I'm wondering if we should use the documentation shares and give y'all maintain. Does that sound good to you?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm in the TSC, so I never know what I'm and then I have org level, so I try to use my green check mark responsibly, and try not to throw it on things, unless I know for sure I'm expected to be a maintainer there. And then Eric, I'm gonna flip you to maintain, and that should give you settings powers. Otherwise, does this all look okay to y'all? Cool. All right. If you ever need anything else, let me know.
We might want to add a code owners file, and I don't know if that's like a best practice we have across projects, but that could be helpful to making sure people are getting the bumps um, for when PRs are put up, because I didn't see that one. And then also potentially for showing people who to bump. Not a high priority, but and I can also like put on notifications for myself very easily. But just something to consider whether if that is a norm we have across our projects or not.
That is a great idea. Yes. And I think I wrote this. Yes, I did. Okay. Whew. Sometimes, I imagine I did things and I didn't do them. So if you go to the Bytecode Alliance governance repo, we have a PR. I realize it's been there for a while. There are good reasons. But we think we're basically ready to land this. We're going to go through it with a couple of projects that are definitely already Bytecode Alliance flagship projects like WASM Time, Whammer, and those types of projects, and evaluate how they meet this criteria. But this does establish those best practices. And something I haven't done yet, but should totally just do, I created a template based on this. And it's in my personal repo, but yeah, it's a skeleton template. Oh, look, it doesn't have a code owner, so there you go. So it should have that there, but I think we should probably or absolutely need to have a good documentation in place for what we consider kind of our best practices. Now, I think for the most part, these, the definition of what is a core project, like that obviously should be in the governance repo as doc. But pointing people to how to best manage their stuff in the Bytecode Alliance is another thing that we should probably highlight.
These are great. Yeah, I'll definitely take a look at this.
And feedback's super duper welcome. It's way easier to change it while it's in PR than once we like ratify it.
Yeah, awesome.
Should we ask Ben if he like wants any publicity around chicory being added?
I don't think it's not a Bike Code Alliance project. So I don't think we should highlight it too much, you know. We list a lot of random stuff in there that some of which I think even no longer has active maintainers. Um I don't want to bring too much attention to it.
Okay.
It did make me think of how we may want to bring attention to a project. Do we have any interest in having a landscape? I know this is like maybe too CNCFy, but like, have we ever thought about having like, Bailey, do you have an answer to this already? Okay.
I like where you're thinking. Yeah, I would love to try to, expand this page out some more. I think there is a WASM CNCF landscape, and it includes everything under the sun, like everything. It is not just specific to CNCF. And so I don't really want to compete with that. So I do want like a more curated list that's specific to the Bike Code Alliance. But yeah, having a high level like, yo, we got lots of projects. One thing I wish we had were logos for projects and stuff. But you do what you got. Some people have made logos and they weren't like, beloved, so it never got adopted. Personally, every logo I've ever seen, I'm like, that's the one. Let's just ship it. But I don't make that call for those projects.
I didn't think about the logos. That would be a fun addition.
And like Wasm Time actually is just adorable, right? Because now we have winch, crane lift, and pulley. Like just top-notch branding there. Where are the logos?
I've always thought that just generally WASM doesn't have a mascot and that Wombat starts with a W.
Oh my God, I love it. I've drawn a couple.
Yeah.
I think of like a purple dinosaur kind of where you rotate the WASM and that's its mouth and it's kind of like that's what I envision. But Wombat's cute too.
I can't draw at all. It's something that I don't have any ability to do. But
Shoot, I'm looking for my old Twitter chat with Lynn. So like the thing I was thinking about with WebAssembly components is that you have to have multiples of them. Multiple wombats works for me. That's great. I did multiple raccoons because I just like them, and it was like the time when Lynn had drawn up the one for the security blog post, and I was like, they kind of look like they got a little bandit mask, but like, what if each one was like its own wily critter? But it's fine because they're in their own sandbox and they have their own linear memory. Yeah. But you guys are thinking the right way. It should be critters. People who do boring mascots like, generic logos. Shame. I have to run to my next one. I appreciate y'all letting me join chaotically and then bounce. So let me know if there's anything I can do to configure things, or if there's stuff that we should also rally around and plan. And yeah, Kate, will you send some stuff to Pat and run a little bit of a session on documentation like you did last time? It was awesome.
Sure, yeah, I'll chat with him about it, and Danny, we can brainstorm a little on that and see what might be useful. I want to make sure it's useful time because we have a tight schedule there. So we'll see what we have for agenda items.
Awesome. I'm just assuming you're going to be there because it's in your backyard. So, all right.
Yes,
Great.
I will
See
be
y'all.
driving 5 minutes. Bye.